Welcome everybody, Rusty Blackwood here, and I welcome you to my loft on this August 11th, 2023 afternoon. It is a bright day here in Niagara. It is a bit cooler than it has been, although I notice the temperatures are starting to feel a little close up here in the loft. I don't have my air on because of the noise. But I have my windows open, so you may hear some street noise, or from the backyard because I've got the window of the door open down at the bottom of the landing. But I persevere and hopefully get through this few minutes that I'm going to be doing this next half hour the best way that I can with as little disruption as possible. And so, as I said, I've chosen the subject today to talk about what it's like for a writer creating a love scene that is realistic, that is not pornographic, but is graphic and realistic the way they happen in real life. And I'm going to be reading an excerpt from my very first novel. Let me see, I get a better copy here because the one that I'm going to read from is one that is my author copy and it is not in the best shape anymore, but this is my very first novel. Let me see, so I don't have the glare. I have a visitor here. Hopefully he's not dragging everything off my table. Passions in Paris, Revelations of a Lost Diary, that I released in 2013 after a huge revision, because this novel originally came out in two parts. The first part in 2010, which was called at that time Passion in Paris, Connections to the Past, and I followed that in 2011 with the second part that was entitled Passion in Paris, Directions of the Heart. But it didn't do as well as I had hoped it would. It was just I didn't have the best guidance at that time. This was before I had met my producer, Don McCauley, and he is also my marketing rep and my publicist. And of course, it was like the blind leading the blind for me, because I didn't have any guidance. I just sort of was, blindly feeling my way down the publishing road. And, I was very green, and I have to admit, I think I got taken advantage of to quite an extent. And but I learned from that experience, and I have never repeated that. So hopefully I came out on the more successful side of it. And so I decided I was going to pull those two novels and redo it again and do it the way that my vision saw it to begin with, which is in one book, which it in itself was a mistake, because as you can see, it's a very large novel. It is heavy, and it is 818 pages. Now, don't be put off by a high page count, because the story is fast moving, and it will encompass you within the story. I'm positive, and you will find the pages turning very quickly, and you will get through this book in much quicker than you think you would. So never be put off by a large count book, thinking that you're never ever going to get to the end of it, because you will. And if you don't take a chance, you miss out on a great story. Not just my stories, but any author that puts a large page count book out. So hopefully I can convince you to not be backed off by large books. And so, anyway, as I said about writing a love scene that is convincing without becoming too graphic. You don't, like, I write realistically. I write my life. Most of my work is based on my life and the experiences that I've had in my life. And this scene that I'm going to read is one. And I hope that you enjoy it. This Book of Passions in Paris, Revelations of a Lost Starry, takes place at the turn of the 21st century in Paris, France, of course, and it centers around two star-crossed lovers that find themselves once again in 1999, and of course, when they see each other, they know that this is the person that I have always been with, and the person that I should be with now. And it's, when you read the book, you can understand what I'm talking about a little better than my explanation of it. Sometimes it can be a little difficult trying to explain something the way that I saw it in my mind when I decided to write this story. And whereas when you just hear an explanation, sometimes it's not always convincing, or it's not always understandable in the way that I see it, if you get my drift. The main two characters in this book are Joy Witchmere. She's a Canadian. She's a housekeeper at the beginning of the story, and as the time goes by, she becomes an author. And the male hero of the story is Colin Malone, who is Irish, and he is an actor-musician. And how this story comes to be, what you're actually reading is a 40-year-old diary, and that is found by the grandchildren of Joy at her, following her death, and they've gathered at her mansion to help plan her memorial and what they're going to say. And they come across this diary that their grandmother wrote in 1999, and it tells the story that this book tells. And so how Joy comes to be there, Cully is helping to promote the upcoming premiere of his latest movie, and there is a contest being given on the radio for people to try out for tickets for an all-inclusive, all-expense-paid trip to Paris for a weekend, for two, and the winner will receive a intimate dinner with Cullen, and this is, very, very innocent. And so, of course, needless to say, Joy, she tries and she wins. And so her and her husband, Dean Witchmere, board the plane for Paris, and away they go. Well, Joy and Dean have been married for quite some time, and they have 2 children together, and they have 3 grandchildren, and their marriage is on the rocks. They've just sort of come to the end of their time together. It's neither one's blame, it's just their time seems to be running out. But they go anyway. But what Joy doesn't realize is that Dean is going because he has an entirely different agenda on his plate. And this works out just perfect for what he wants to do when he gets there. And so, in this scene, I'm going to put on my glasses here. And I'm going to read to you. It's from chapter 2, and the name of it is One for the Road. Okay. The afternoon moved like a snail. They are now in Paris, in their hotel room. Just as well, because it did allow me time to ready myself for a very special night that would probably only happen once. These are, this is Joy's own words that you're hearing here. Reclining in the bath, wishing my nerves would settle down, lost memories of band life sprang to the surface, reminding me of how I felt prior to each performance, and as many times as I would nervously wait backstage, one would think I would get used to the anxiety, yet I never did. For me, it was always a choice of tossing my cookies or capturing the 1,000 butterflies at large in my stomach. But after the first couple of numbers, I'd always settle down, so I was hoping my performance tonight would be worthy of a Grammy, for I felt the need to give the performance of my life. My open-backed, ankle-length, black satin sheath had been carefully packed along with my silver lame dress sandals, both of which waited patiently upon the bed. Thinking about my look for the evening and how foxy I could possibly get, my mind filled with daring thoughts. I knew I looked great in that dress. Heaven only knows I lost enough weight to get back into it, and I love it. Hope he does too. Envisioning my body in full attire brought other questions to mind, rather odd ones. At the time I thought it a bit strange, for they were in the form of a questionnaire and waiting at the airport kiosk when I arrived to retrieve the tickets, and though I could have painted an entirely different image, I answered truthfully. My age was asked. I thought it a bit strange, but I was honest nonetheless. Next, my weight. My height, hair and eye color, if I were slim, married, or single. If I ever visited the online message boards dedicated to Cullen, and finally, my favorite Cullen Malone character and movie. At first I thought it a trick question, for the promotion was for Parisian truffles, making me wonder if I should answer with Cullen's character. But as I had not yet seen it, I didn't have an answer. So I wrote Inspector Finnegan Cooper from the Shamrock Mystery, which was my favorite anyway. While toweling off, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. My, how I wish the image looking back was still the young, vibrant one that used to be there. Where is she, Joy? I sadly asked my aging reflection. Why does time have to pass so quickly? And I suddenly found myself thinking about Cullen's companion, wondering how they came to meet, especially coming from different countries. But the life of a celebrity takes them many places in the world where endless amounts of people are encountered. I knew she was one of the most successful fashion designers in France, and her house was still growing. I even found myself wondering how she could have achieved the accolades she had at such a tender age. I well remembered when I was that young, the taut, flat stomach and tight butt, the firm, supple skin. The only bonus about the way it made me feel now was in knowing that one day gravity would pull her down too. But with all empathy aside, I did not think myself too bad for having had 2 children. Still, I hoped that wherever he was taking me, candlelight would be the only method used so he wouldn't notice the lines that never used to be there. But I didn't want to miss the chance of experiencing his striking eyes firsthand, and light is needed for that. so damn the wrinkles, because what I hoped for was much more important. As I was nervously fussing about, Dean came in, asking if there was anything he could do to help. "How sweet of you to ask," I replied. In actuality, I'd been rather taken by surprise and could not abandon the opportunity to comment on this fact as I said, "How many men could actually say they helped a lady, let alone their wife, prepare for another man?" "Well," he whispered with a soft sigh, "I'm not just any man, now am I? You seem nervous. Can I help you do something? Possibly rub your back, or maybe somewhere else, I was suddenly aroused with the thoughts of Paris outside the window, Cullen waiting for me, and Dean caressing my back so sensually that before I knew what was happening we were upon the floor in a tight embrace. Our perpetual marriage may be on the verge of collapse, but the reasons were not from lack of sex or quality thereof. His kiss held such intensity, it made me wet with anticipation in just thinking of him and Cullen at the same time. Oh, I sighed with desire, wishing I could have them both on the floor right there and then, or on that delectable bed in a stimulating menage-a-trois, or even in that deep tub which I envisioned filled with milk. Oh, what I couldn't do with them together or apart. Soft melody drifted gently from the stereo as Dean was suddenly inside me, sighing with ecstasy, his wet tongue licking my ear as his searing breath came faster. Intense desire so totally consumed me, I could no longer stand a second longer without crying out for him. He must have been thinking about what I might be getting later, possibly what he might. And he lost any control that he may have managed to hold on. I've never seen him so hungry. He pulled out, but before I could move, his fiery tongue slid the full length of me, searing my flesh like molten steel as it quickly slid along, licking the inside of my thighs with wild anticipation, his face buried deep between my thighs, his hot, scalding tongue as far inside me as it could possibly reach. I could barely stand the suction. I could not lie still, and my excited bottom bounced as hard as it dared on the soft French rug, screaming loud its need for my husband's knowing touch. I swear the patrons in the lobby far below must have wondered what the hell was going on as love on the rugs raged high above them. My groping hands reached down to grasp my husband's firm erection. "How do you like it?" he inquired with excitement, his breath coming in spurts as my hands pumped him hard. "Possibly thinking of him inside you?" he asked, seizing my breasts within his manipulative hands. "Is that what you want, babe?" Arching fingers grabbed his hair. I could hear my voice begging him to give it to me. Give it to me now, and hard. He obliged, driving into me with such force I thought I saw stars on the ceiling. He moved so fast, so incredibly severe, it made me think I would lose all sense and not wake up for days. Just when these thoughts were about to materialize, I heard him gasp, and I knew he was going to come. I felt the warmth of him fill me, and as it did, I couldn't help thinking for one fleeting moment about the value of the rug beneath us, and if it had ever witnessed such flurry before. We lay there for what seemed an eternity, his body upon mine, sweat running freely when I vaguely heard him say, "Come on, it's time to finish getting ready for your date. What time is this driver coming for you?" My terrified mind screamed, and for a split second it completely froze, certain that Cullen would be able to sense I've already been doing someone, even if it was my own husband. My God, he'll be completely turned off for sure. Frantic eyes searched for the clock. It read 3:30 p.m. Soon time to get ready, but it was so hard to move. I lay completely still, willing the return of my strength and trying my damnedest to focus a very sleepy mind on the fast approaching evening. "Joy, wake up!" Dean's voice snapped, instantly bringing me back. "Hey, babe, best get a move on. Don't want to be late, do you? I'm sure his driver will soon be on his way. Didn't you say he was coming at 5? The tub again felt good as I lay among the bubbles, regaining much-needed strength. Thoughts of what just happened mingled with visions of what might come, and I found myself wondering if I should remain where my obligations lay or follow that dream I had dreamt for so long. I could have pondered these thoughts until my life was over and still be as torn as I was right now. Surely I was doing no wrong. Then again, was I stepping into an area where I did not belong? These confusing thoughts were getting me nowhere, and I found myself wondering if all this bathing was just turning my skin like prunes, or whether it could ever wash away the impending guilt I somehow felt in my gut. I could sit here forever and still never reach a verdict. I'm sure that would come soon enough. With this thought in mind, I quickly finished the chore at hand and grabbed a towel. It was amazing how fast guilt-ridden thoughts and visions of hanging from a noose could vanish. But come what may, by 4:30 I was ready, makeup perfect, hair looking great, with thoughts of Cullen filling my head. One last check to make sure everything was in its proper place, all the while playfully swatting Dean's groping hands away, forgetting until now how much he liked this dress. As I stood before the mirror, taking it all in, his tender arms engulfed me once again, and I felt myself glowing below. Best save it, girl, because something tells me you might need all the energy you can possibly muster, I impishly thought, as excitement consumed me. So, there we go. As I say, when I first started writing, especially when I got to writing this novel, I had some kind of stressful moments when I thought about who might read this. I mean, people that knew me personally, what they might think when they read this book, because there are scenes further on in this novel that are very, very graphic and very colorful and filled with how can I put this without actually reading it to you, which I think I will do in a future video. It is very exotic, to say the least, and I hope for anybody that might try it out, because so many people, sometimes what they read in a book, they actually try it out and with their partner, and so I hope if that's the case when they read it, they're going to get as much enjoyment out of the enjoyment I had writing it, based on my experiences. And it was a lot of fun. And but as I was going to say, when I first started writing, there were times where I would think about the different area that they may read, and knowing that it was me that wrote it, and thinking like, oh my, I never thought that she would talk about things like that, or how would she know about things like that. Cheers, everyone. Especially my mother. My mother she was a great supporter of my work and my writing, and she read everything that I had written up to the story of Passion in Paris. And I remember saying to her one time, well, if you want to read it, Mom, I'll give you a copy and you can read it. But I want to warn you, there are areas, just 2 or 3 that, because the rest of the book, that is very little of what the story is about and what it reveals as you go through the pages. But I said, you may find it a little uncomfortable, especially knowing your daughter wrote this, because I was thinking in the back of my mind, if and when she read these parts, what would she think, because this is her daughter that wrote that, and how does she know about these things? And it would have been, had she decided to read it, which she didn't, and I was kind of relieved in a way that she didn't, because I'm not ashamed of what I wrote, but I didn't want to embarrass her. And I think that my mother, coming from the age in time and society that she came from, I think she may have been embarrassed, and it may have caused her a bit of stress, and I would not have wanted to do that. And so she never read it, needless to say, and but and of course she didn't get a chance to read Willow's Walk, which it has a little bit of intimacy and graphic visuals in that as well. Not quite the same as Passion in Paris, but a bit that probably still would have made her uncomfortable. But of course, she passed away before that book was published, and so I never had to go through that anxiety of if she wanted to read it and wondering what she would think if she had. But so I will never know. But there again, when you write scenes like that, at least me, I can't speak for any other author, but for me, I like to keep things as entertaining as possible, and as visual as possible, and as realistic as possible, without going too far. And I think there are some novels that I've read where they do. If you choose the genre of exotica, then to begin with, that these novels, this is what they contain, and this is what happens throughout the entire novel. And so, but mine are romantic fiction dramas, and with suspense, and there is a difference. And I have to be comfortable myself with what I write, and I don't want to put my reader in an awkward position or feeling like, oh my, I don't think I'm going to want to continue with this book. And so it's getting, the more you write, the more you learn about where to draw the line, and how to express what it is in the chapter that you're writing, what you want to say, and the way you want to present it. And so I hope that I've presented Passions in Paris, Revelations of a Lost Diary, in as comfortable of a way as possible. And Passions has gotten some good reviews. Amazon gave it 4 stars, and overall, for like a first debut story, I think it did okay. I think I did okay with it, and it gave me the confidence that I needed to go on to write novels that have since come after Passions. And so Passions is available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle if you're interested in picking up a copy. And for those in the Niagara area, I have copies, paperback copies of Passions on hand in glossy and suede cover. It's not suede. It's just the finish looks. It is. What's the word I want? Just very dull, and with the fact that the cover is black to begin with, and their clothing is black, it just comes off looking like it is suede, a suede effect, and I quite like that. But for people that are into glossy, there again, it's easy to maintain. You just need to wipe it off, whereas the matte finish can catch the oil from your fingers, and you can't always get it off. And so I'm just past the 30-minute mark, and so I'm going to say goodbye for today, and get this video uploaded to my YouTube channel. And I want to thank all my new subscribers. This is I've worked so long and waited so long to have my subscription counts growing and having my likes growing, and so it is. They say good things come to those who wait. I don't know. I think that's true, and because I know how it's making me feel, and I am most thankful to you, and for subscribing to my channel. And when you do, please hit the bell so that you get instant notice when I upload and release a new video. It lets you know that there is a new video just out by me. And so I'd like to wish God's blessings to each of you out there, and thank you, God, also for guiding me and making a lot of things in my life possible. Well, everything in my life possible, but especially for the super nice things. And so I will be back soon with a new video. And in the meantime, please stand strong, stay safe, stay healthy, and continue to move forward. And as Chris Sky says, just say no. And so please like this video, please share it about, please comment if you would, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye for now. Peace out.